Aloha! In Hawaii, we say shaloha. Anyway, yes, I know, I'm being a little bit corny. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today, I'm going to share my testimony in the making of the flags, the new design that we just released, that we called Lion's Breath, Prophet's Voice. The design for these flags started way back, oh gosh, I want to say in 2021. I'm pretty sure it was 2021. Maybe it was 2022. I can't remember. That was when my daughter came to me and asked me if I would make a design that she thought of. And she started showing me these little swirls, you know, drawing on a piece of paper that she wanted. And so that's what I put into flags. And of course, back then I didn't know how to sew, or excuse me, I didn't know how to paint on silk. I got my start in making spin tube flags using lame material. And so when I first started, I only knew how to sew the half circle flags. And eventually I learned how to applique. And so I started with my daughter's design. We ended up calling it the Breath of Yah. And so there was this whole like prophetic word that the Father gave to me regarding my daughter. And that also, if you want to read up on that, that is written on the listing, which I will have included in this post in the description below, of the Breath of Yah listing on our Etsy shop. And so that whole thing's on there, that testimony and what the word was for her and all that good stuff. And now my daughter's name is Ariella. That is what we believed that the Father wanted us to call her. She is our firstborn. And Ariella actually is the feminine version of Ariel, which you can find in the Bible. I believe it's mentioned about 5 times. It was a city somewhere in Israel. And it means, in the masculine, it means lion of God. So we named her Ariella to be like lioness of God. And so I knew that her namesake, really what that meant was one day she was going to be like a roaring lion, and she would speak words prophetically to her generation. And she has had words since then that are similar from other people to confirm that. She also I asked her to create a lion head for me that looked fierce and vicious, you know, because we're so used to lion heads to represent the Father as being majestic and looking kind of kind, you know what I mean? Like full of wisdom and whatnot, which is, I'm not knocking that at all. I love it. I think that is absolutely perfect at depicting the Father. However, he's also fierce, and lions, they can definitely look majestic, wise, they can look kind even. However, they are also very fierce, especially when their enemies come around. And so that was something that I wanted to be depicted, and I also wanted something that looked tribal, because I knew that I was going to put that lion head on all sorts of things. And the very first thing that I put it on was actually a drum. And it just turned out to be so phenomenal. Like, yeah, I love that design. So anyway, she figured out how to do it on an app that she was already experimenting with called Procreate. And she just did an amazing job. So when I finally saw the finished product, I was like, I am so putting that on flags one of these days. And I still didn't know how to paint on silk. And finally, I learned. And so this is actually my second design that I'm using to paint on silk. The first one was Tribal Thunder, and now this one. And initially, I thought I was just going to put the lion head on the flags until it became pretty obvious that the Father wanted me to include the original swirls from the Breath of Yah flags. And my daughter confirmed that when I hadn't said anything to her, because I was already considering doing that. I already felt like the Father was telling me that's what he wanted to do. And then she confirmed it by asking me, hey, will you add the swirls on there with the lion head. I just feel like that's got to be on there. And I was like, well, that settles it. So that's what I did. I put the swirls in with the lion head. And so when I saw the swirls together with the lion head, I just knew I had to add that fire, because what it is that it looks like the voice of the lion is going out. And there are two interpretations to this. Either it looks like it's pushing the fire away, right? So do you have some sort of fire, an enemy fire that's trying to devour you? You know, like we have so many things going on in this nation, you know, whether it's people who are just literally suffering financially, or they're suffering physically, or they're suffering from the weather having taken everything from them, or all the above. You know, there's so many things that are going on in this nation. So what's going on in your life that you need the lion to roar and just speak that one word, and boom, all of that is gone and taken care of. So there's that interpretation, and then there's also the interpretation of the lion speaking and that fire revival going out from his voice. So it just depends, you know, what the interpretation is for the person who feels like these flags are meant for them, and who's going to take up these weapons to worship the Father with. So when I got started on doing these flags, I actually planned on having a black background. I wanted the whole thing to be painted, and I just thought it would just look phenomenal having a black background with all the fire and everything coming into play. However, that didn't turn out so well. My first set of flags of making them, I just literally hated the way they turned out. The black turned into like this gray, silvery, I don't know, it just didn't look good. And I ended up throwing it away because I was just so mad. I thought about it later and was like, oh man, I probably should have showed them, you know, what they look like once I had them rinsed, but I didn't do that. So that's all right. You know, we don't have that part in the video. The next week, we're going to have a video come out where you get to see the whole process of me painting it and everything. And then there's that one part where I don't reveal to you what it looks like once the black is rinsed out. And the whole time I was painting it, my daughter was just like fawning over it. She loved it so much. She thought it looked great. And I just love that it really represents her namesake with the lion on there and the swirls from the breath, right? The breath of Yah, which can be prophetic. You know, it could just mean we all have that breath. And I want you guys to remember that. We all carry God's breath, all of us. It doesn't matter where we're at in our walk. It doesn't even matter if we're saved. If you're breathing, you have his breath. We all have that potential to speak a word. We all have that potential to have the fierceness of the lion, especially those of us who are believers, because we carry him within us. And so we have that fierceness. We have that prophetic voice within us. All we have to do is speak whatever he says to speak. I think that's it. All that I wanted to share. In case some of you are wondering, like, why I'm always sharing the testimonies regarding the making of these worship items. First of all, I'm Hawaiian, and in Hawaiian culture, what we call mo'olelo means storytelling, and it is literally the foundation of our culture. Very, very important. All the storytelling is important. And I'm not just talking about like storytelling of myths, storytelling of the culture. I'm talking about also, we all have our own mo'olelo. We all have our own stories. And that's kind of what I want to encourage, because our stories are powerful. We are all so unique, and the world needs to hear our testimonies. The world needs to hear our stories. And I used to think that a testimony was just like when you got saved, but I'm beginning to realize it's way more than that. You've got a testimony going on all the time. And there's going to be people encouraged by your stories, regardless of whether it's your story of being saved or not. So that is the reason that I share these as encouragement. Also, so that you know what you're worshiping with, what the story is, what it means. you know, and that way that it matches up with, I guess, how you feel about it, and also will come through in your worship. So there's no confusion there. So yeah, there you have it. That is the testimony of the making of these flags. And if you would like to order some, I will have all the information in the description box below for you. And stay tuned next week so that you can see the whole process of me painting the flags and everything, and the big reveal. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I also hope you enjoy the next video and everything else. So I'll see you guys back here later, guys. Love ya. Peace out. Bye.